on your screen right now, as you can see, we got two good brothers up in here. To my left, sir, introduce yourself, please.
Shoot, how you doing? I'm Wyatt Flake, man. How y'all doing? Live and direct, man.
Tell us a little bit something about yourself, Wyatt. You know what I'm saying? What's your background, black man?
Shoot, I'm originally from Fort Smith, Arkansas. I lived, coast to coast through the United States. I learned a lot through my travels, and I guess my number one thing is just going different places, meeting new people, and everybody got something to teach me. So, even as I share anything from my heart today, it's been from other people who took the time to share theirs with mine. And I appreciate y'all, and it ain't nothing but love.
For sure, brother. We sure appreciate you being here. Now, the brother to my right, introduce yourself, brother. What's your name? Tell us a little bit something about yourself.
What's happening, my peoples, man? I'm Lionel Porter, man, aka Mr. Porter, man. Please say Mr. Porter.
For sure.
I'm originally from Fort Smith, man. I've been around here all my life. You know what I mean? Got a lot of friends and family around here, a lot of loved ones, man. And, really just trying to put some information out there, man, to my youths out there, man, on how to think critically, man, instead of thinking so emotionally. I think that's one of the major problems in our youth. They're too emotionally charged.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Mr. Porter, for being here. We appreciate you, know what I'm saying, for the first time on our inaugural show, Black Men Talk. We're going to get into some major subjects right now. If y'all can't handle it, you know what I'm saying, y'all might want to see you later, Gator, but I'm sure y'all can, you know what I mean? Our first subject on the bill today, we're going to be talking about Black genocide. Ooh, Black genocide. Brother Wyatt, when you hear the word Black genocide, what's the first thing that comes to your mind just over that term, Black genocide?
Man, the destruction of ourselves, imploding when something implodes on itself. I feel like we one of the greatest force on this earth, and when turned against itself, we become the greatest destruction to ourselves. You know what I mean? I picture brothers hurting brothers, brothers killing brothers, when Black genocide comes to mind.
Right. I feel you. Mr. Porter, what about you, brother? When you hear that phrase Black genocide, what do you think? Well, what immediately comes to your mind?
I'm an analytical person, man, so I always run a lot of things over my mind. When I think about that, a lot of things come to my mind, you know what I mean? Such as families with fathers that's missing.
Yes, sir.
Miseducation about the streets, you know what I'm saying? Miseducation about firearms and weaponry, you know what I mean? There's several things that come to my mind that plays a big part in genocide. In order for us to solve it, we got to recognize the problems first.
For sure. I'm glad you brought up recognizing the problem, Mr. Porter, because that's what we're here to do today, is to really recognize the problem. So we have several sub-subjects. Our first one in regards to Black genocide is guns in our community. Mr. Porter, you have the floor, sir. Tell us what your thoughts are on guns in the community. More specifically, are they good? Are they bad? Should we have them? Should we throw them out? What say you, Mr. Porter?
And it all goes back to my miseducation about things. I believe in the right to bear arms. I believe that that's our God-given right to have protection.
Yes, sir.
And I believe that we have a right to, protect ourselves against the government. If we would give up all the guns, and then the government turned on us, how would we protect ourselves as citizens?
That's an excellent point.
I bring that point up first of all, and then I say the miseducation about firearms is because we so touchy when it comes to guns that we don't want to educate. We want to run from it instead of educating our youth.
Right.
And this is no slight to African Americans, but white America got their kids out in the woods hunting, bro.
Man, that is an excellent point.
You see what I'm saying?
That's an excellent
point.
They're
more responsible. You see what I'm saying? In knowing what this firearm does.
Facts. Mr. Flake, what's your thoughts on that? What if somebody told you, well, I grew up, guns was bad. I seen a lot of people get killed by guns. I don't mess with guns. I understand the right to bear arms and everything like that, but I just think guns are killing weapons, killing tools, and I don't want to have anything to do with that. What would you say to that person?
Shoot, guns are also used to hunt, like he mentioned, for protection. It's not that they're not necessary, like you said, it's the fact that the people holding the gun are either uneducated or educated the wrong way when the gun was first put in their hand. It makes all the difference in the world if a gun is put in your hand in the neighborhood versus a gun being put in your hand in the woods. You have a target, you have a goal, you have a purpose. You hunt the animal. Once you shoot the animal, you got to clean it. It's a whole process to your firearm when introduced to it in a hunting aspect versus being in the neighborhood. And the neighborhood is kind of in your hand and tell you to go. Half the time, honestly, I feel like most of the guns in the neighborhood for sale anyway gonna get people killed because they gonna misfire, jam, all of the above, because the person really don't even know how to truly handle the gun. And if it does jam, I mean, if you're in a neighborhood situation, you're in real trouble if the other man's gun didn't jam. So I feel like guns are a necessary tool, but it's how them guns get handled and who they get handled by that makes all the difference in the world.
That's just like the misconception of riding around with one in the chamber. Like, why would you do that?
Right.
Well, the thought behind that is to be ready at all times.
You have up the chances of you injuring yourself and somebody around you. You know, I'm a strong believer in God, and I believe that God is the giver and taker of life. You know, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I'm just telling you mine.
Yes, sir.
So never could I think that a weapon is going to stop me from my death day when God is the giver of that. You know, a lot of people say they believe in God, but then you think this gun going to save you. You know what I'm saying? They shot the president off the back of a car, dog. He had top-notch security.
This is a fact.
It was his time to go.
This is a fact.
You know what I'm saying? So when it's your time to go, one in the chamber not going to save you, bro.
Right.
So what about the aspect when people say, well, black men are out here killing each other at rampant rates? How do we stop that if we don't take away the guns?
Here's the reality, man. Black people kill black people because we're around people.
Proximity.
White people kill white people because they're around white people. Chinese people kill Chinese people because they're around Chinese people.
Right.
They just exploit ours. They just show ours on the news. You know what I'm saying? Are we dying at alarming rates? Yes, we are. I'm not going to deny that. You know what I'm saying? But just to say like we just around here killing each other, you know what I'm saying? Like other races ain't doing it. They exploiting their people. They extorting their people. You know, the Italians, they was extorting their people first.
So, Mr. Flake, final. Do we need guns in the community? Yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes, in the right hands, with the right training, with the right certifications, and with the right responsibility, and with a critical mind. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Say we're going to get on to our next subject here. Our next subject we're going to tackle, which is related to guns in some cases, not all cases, but is that hood mentality. What do you guys have to say about that hood mentality? You know, there was a skit where the brother Dave Chappelle, he said he had a skit where he talked about when keeping it real goes wrong. Yeah, we all familiar about when keeping it real goes wrong. So, Mr. Porter, what do you say about the hood mentality? Give me your thoughts overall about the hood.
And you know, all these things, you know, I uphold wholeheartedly. You know what I mean? I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Okay.
You know, but here's the misconception in all that. You know, we have to stop upholding these laws where they don't belong. We got to stop showing the respect and love where it's not being shown. You know, and in so many aspects, you know, we teaching our youth wrong, man. You know, and I'm gonna give you an instance. You know, you got 3 individuals in the car, and one of them got some drugs on, and when the police pull him over, he decides to stuff his weed in the seat. You know, and he's the first one to get pulled out of the car. And the officer asked him whose weed it is, and he says it's not his. Then guess whose weed he's saying that weed is? Because it ain't nobody else but 2 other people in the car. So basically what he's done, whether knowingly or unknowingly, because sometimes we do stuff and we don't have no knowledge of what we're saying or doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We just panicking. So what you basically done is said that this weed is not mine. Officer, it has to be one of these other 2 individuals.
And with that being said, Mr. Porter, the hood mentality would say that's snitching. What would be your response to that, Mr. Flake?
And see, and in that scenario, the cops really took that to took it to their advantage, because in all situations like that happen in the neighborhood, they just gave everybody the charges anyway. I've even been in a situation where don't nobody say nothing. Don't nobody say nothing, because even when you say something, it can that easily turn into, well, also, you ain't saying it is. The number one thing for a cop to do is ask you the same question 3 times in 3 different ways to try to get you trapped up. And the second that they cross your words up, it's just that. Your words get crossed up, everybody gets charged, everybody's in trouble, end of story. But like, even more so, I think what happened in the neighborhood as far as the misleading, first of all, we had OGs and big homies of people in our neighborhoods that was already scarred and already misled themselves.
Right.
So it's not like they had a whole lot to give, in the sense of, if they didn't go to college and become no lawyer or no attorney, then that's not what they was going to do. They went to the penitentiary. We was too young to understand that the way they thought, the way they behaved, and their consequences were soon going to become our consequences also.
Man, this is real life. People, friend of mine, he's incarcerated right now doing life sentence. Him and 2 other friends went to a convenience store. He was passed out drunk in the back seat, and one of the individuals killed the store clerk. Nobody spoke about what happened, so they gave all of them the life sentences. Like, if I shoot the man and kill him, why would I want to take y'all 2 with me? I'm getting a life sentence regardless.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but this is the misconception. We got a lot of youth thinking, don't say nobody say nothing. Don't nobody do. You know what I mean? And it's like, now you got 2 of these brothers in here for life, and they ain't even really doing nothing.
But that's because also we go into crimes unprepared, just like we unprepared in every other situation in our life.
Yes, sir.
No, I have a couple homies that I specifically remember taught me stuff like, hey, whatever you about to go do, plan on what happens if you don't get caught, and plan on what happens if you do.
Most definitely.
Make a plan for both. So I got different little nuggets like that throughout my life of wise advice, even in bad situations. However, there wasn't a lot of that in the neighborhood. A lot of people, we was really just reciprocating what the people before us went through. They went through problems, they went through trouble, and then their thing was, well, especially as a rite of passage or getting stripes, if you do this, then you're going to gain a stripe or a couple cool points. We're going to think you're a little cool if you shoot this man. And then, but the whole time, one thing I noticed, even as I got older, the people that a lot of times, more often than not, was asking somebody to shoot somebody or do harm to somebody else, didn't even want to do it themselves, which in turn was the reason they asked the person to do it for them in the first place.
So is the hood mentality something we need in the hood? Do we need to change the hood mentality?
We need you know what?
What do you say?
You know what a brother hit me with? He's a counselor in a program. It's not that the hood is the bad part. It's just the fact that we took the neighbor off the hood, and it's no longer a neighborhood. It's a hood. Right? But if we turn it back to a neighborhood, it's not enough functionality and communication through neighborhoods like it once was. Like we experienced and growing up in a smaller place where you could get in trouble up the street by your neighbor.
A hood that thrives off fear, hopelessness, greed, envy, all these things. You know, a neighborhood thrives off family, connection, togetherness. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Community. You know, and when we separate these things, you know,
shoot, the only thing you have left is
when we separate these things, you know, it can be traumatic. You know,
it's a problem.
We seeing it now, though. You know, we seeing what's going on in our neighborhoods.
Well, Mr. Porter, you brought up, you know, when I talked about the hood mentality, first thing you brought up was the scenario where somebody, you know, leave the drugs in the car and they say it ain't mine. Recently in the news, there has been some talk about the rappers all catching RICO charges and everybody saying they snitching. What are your thoughts about that as far as, you know, using lyrics to get these rappers and rappers catching RICO charges and telling on each other? Are they snitching on each other in turn, or what is your opinion about that?
This is my opinion on it. You know, anytime that you expose another person's business on behalf of a deal that you've made, then you've compromised. You've compromised your friendship with that person, man.
What about you, brother Wyatt? What say you on that?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because first of all, not just the rappers. I feel like the rappers, common day, social media, all of that is platforms for snitching.
Right.
And even when people beef in the streets now, to take your beef to social media, it's telling. You told on yourself and you told on the other person. There's no way,
Right.
no matter what happens, once that beef starts,
Right. So
then somebody's not going to jail.
Closing out on hood mentality, give me one thing that we can do to help change the hood mentality. What are solutions? Because we can talk about the problems all day, but
Right.
could you give me one solution that can help change the hood mentality amongst young black men and boys?
Well, if you don't mind, I think the biggest thing is the truth. The truth is going to do it first. The truth that somebody now that's older than you that went through the same thing before you tell you the truth. It wasn't fun. It wasn't easy. We lost stuff that we can never have again. You lost time with children. You missed birthdays. You go to an institution called a penitentiary where you are not comfortable. All your personal space is gone. Psychologically, you will be tested. Spiritually, you will be tested. And physically, you will be tested. So the biggest lie that was ever told is that doing criminal shit and hood shit was fun. It wasn't fun, and the aftermath was terrible. We lost more than we ever gained. We lost more than we ever gained.
Mr. Porter, final thoughts on hood mentality.
Man, he hit it in a nutshell, the truth, you know what I mean? We derive the truth through critical thinking. You know, and I think that's what we need to implement in the youth now, man. We need to implement critical thinking, man. We need to get them to stop thinking emotionally. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, and this is no slight to our black women, because our black women have raised some intelligent black men. You know what I mean? But it takes another man to help another man see things critically. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, the truth has to come from another man so he can understand the situations that he in as a man and be able to think his way out of it critically. And that's having the truth of the matter. Like he said, you know, a big homie is supposed to tell you everything. He's not just supposed to say, man, let's go rob this store. We gonna get the money. We gonna go.
Right.
You know? And then this 15, 16-year-old boy, which he fantasized to be the big OG one day, you know, he just believed in it. You know, he made it sound too easy.
In fact, that's not even being a big homie.
He didn't tell him we could go in here and he could beat somebody in the back, come out with a shotgun, kill both of us. He didn't say the clerk could get balls of steel and jump over the counter and wrestle me down and I had to shoot him and kill him.
Right.
You know, these are the things that's not being exposed to our youth, and then we wonder why they understand telling on us. Because you ain't telling them all that, man. You ain't telling them that somebody was gonna die. You made it seem so simple.
Yeah.
You made it seem like you know, to a kid, you made it seem like 1, 2, 3. You ain't break it down to them in the reality in which it was. And I'm not saying that even to be having that conversation is righteous. I'm not saying that, but these are conversations that's being had. And if you're gonna have these conversations, have them critically.
Well, Mr. Porter, you brought up youth violence. How do we stop the youth violence? How do we curb the youth violence? How do we eliminate youth violence?
I think the number one thing that we have right now is we have income problems.
Economics.
We have economical problems. So we have our young men wanting to go out and be the bearers of the fruit. You know what I mean?
Right.
But a lot of them are not able to be employed due to age or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So let's start creating some programs where we can start getting these youths that we have banned out of public school, that we got them just walking around the streets now. They can't go to no school. You know, they've been kicked out of every school. They can be, you know what I mean? What do? We just throw them away. We just let them walk the streets.
So brother, why? I mean, what say you? I mean, I think, you know, speaking for myself, I was down with some youth violence. I ain't gonna act like I was no angel, you know. I got my hands dirty and into some things. As a youth, how do we stop or curb youth violence? What do we need to do to get through to the youth? Because there seems like there's a disconnect from one generation to the next, and perhaps the argument can be made there's always a disconnect between the generations. However, it seems so severe right now that we are in an emergency level, and we definitely need to do something. So how do we get that disconnect between the one generation and the youth to curb that youth violence?
I like events and venues that occur that put all of those people in the same place at the same time. What happens, especially again, being from a smaller area, what happens when you put a lot of people in the same place here? you start even finding out a lot of people are even related to different connections. Some people end up, they didn't see their relative since 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
They might not even think that their older relative was even still alive.
Right.
Once we come back together, start making neighborhoods once again, we start seeing familiarities, different ways that we relate to people, different ways that we related and that we relate.
True.
So, and then it invokes a certain accountability when you have a 70-year-old man, a 40-year-old man, and a 20-year-old man in the same place, because the 40-year-old man still wants to respect the 70-year-old man, while still would like him to have some respect from the 20-year-old man, which creates a chain that is absolutely necessary. And then even the older man looks to the other younger two men as, man, if they looking up to me, I can't drop the ball. I got to try a little bit harder to make sure this happens. We got to bring back connectivity. And I know that social media, anything digital, everything is digital now. And it's less and less like when we grew up, I rode a bike to your house before. I've walked to your house before. We losing. We need more human contact with humans, man. Human beings, we are stronger together. No matter what the world is saying, we are stronger together. And the more that we even put ourselves in the same place at the same time to exchange that energy, I feel like we'll just get better, man, one step at a time, because it is going to take some hitting. We are generationally disturbed.
Brother Floyd, you're right. I mean, you're right. You're right. I mean, I think one of the things that also affects our community is the mental health aspect. You know, it's really taboo in our community, and we taught not to talk about it or pray it away, or, you know, just push it down deep or not worry about it. Mr. Porter, what are your thoughts on mental health in the Black community, specifically amongst Black men, where we are taught to hide our emotions and not talk to people and just be so tough all the time? I couldn't imagine being somebody dealing with a mental illness and then having that pressure of having to be a Black man in America. What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Porter?
As being a person with mental illnesses, you know what I mean? For a long time, you know, I didn't even know I had them. You know, I've been living with them for so long, like depression. You know, it wasn't until I was maybe 27 that I really kind of realized that I had been depressed all my life. You know what I mean?
Right.
And a lot of our youths are depressed. They don't really know what to call it though. They don't really know what it is. And this is why, another reason why I recommend every Black man, especially Black men of poverty, man, go talk to somebody. Even if you think you're all right. You know what I'm saying? Go talk to somebody, because you'll recognize, you know, I people laugh all the time. You know, I used to be in drug treatment, and I would sit back and I would listen to people talk, and they would be like, man, yeah, man, I do this and do that, man, and that's what made me do that. And I'm sitting there like, damn, I do that too.
Mm-hmm.
The same problems. Oh my God. And then he talking, I'm like, man, I got the same problem. That's the guy. The more and more I talk to person, I realized I got all the same problems. But I wasn't able to recognize it in myself. I had to hear it from somebody else, explain it, and put it into terms to where I could relate and say, hey, I'm struggling with these same things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm depressed, man. Yeah. You know, so I you know, my recommendation would be for us as Black men, man, to get ourselves examined, man. Go talk to somebody, man.
Most definitely.
What about you, Mr. Flay? What else can we do, you know, in mental health? You know, talking to somebody, I always say we need that one person who you can talk to, whether it's your homeboy. Sometimes you need that person you can vent to and just get it off your chest. Now, I'm not saying this person's a mental health professional, not at all. But at the same time, sometimes just getting it off your chest can help the situation, even if it doesn't change the situation. How do we get Black men to just talk more to each other? Because sometimes, you know, we look at each other wrong and it's a problem. Like, man, brother, hold on. So how do we open up the lines of communication amongst Black men in regards to mental health?
So we ventured off into mental health for that reason. And I think those personal conversations with professionals are important. Those personal conversations with best friends are important. And then the group settings where everybody, again, can relate to each other's issues. And come to find out, the reason I was isolating myself is because I felt like nobody else is experiencing or feeling what I'm feeling, and other people are. And
absolutely.
And back to the truth again, it's being in those environments with a group of people and everybody sharing their deepest, darkest truths and being free with their failures. We're not free with our failures because a lot of times they hurt or they're embarrassing or they might even shed the light on something that we did that we didn't want somebody to know. But truth be told, ain't nothing new under the sun.
That's right.
Ain't nothing new under the sun. And not only have we experienced embarrassing and hurtful moments, currently, in the future, people in the past have also experienced some of the same things. And I think what's so important about, again, establishing that bond between the older man, the middle-aged man, and the young man is the older man can even enlighten us to the fact that these are stages to life that are even necessary. They are scary, yet necessary.
Oh, say that again. Say that again, brother.
These evolutions in life are scary, yet necessary.
Mm.
And when they come, don't be so knocked off balance to where we feel like we can't get up or can't recenter. For an older man to let you know, no, man, that's just a stage you go through about that time. Because a while ago, you mentioned 27 waking up to depression. Well, mine came around 24.
Mm.
As matter of fact, 24 is like when I got married and going through a divorce. I actually was about 27 going on 28. And you know how I got woken up to the fact that I was depressed?
Wow.
A doctor's visit. The doctor said, young man, you 24 looking like your body is displaying signs of being 42.
Man.
And he said, I don't tell people what to do in their personal lives, but from a health perspective, if you don't find a way to get that stress off of you, it's going to kill you.
Wow. Wow.
So now, had somebody broken that down to us earlier, maybe we would have been prepared for it. You know, it's not that I don't think that it's definitely not that we had never experienced trauma in our life. I think it's around that age where you get more of a reason about ourselves in our 20s. We get to know ourselves a little bit better, and now we're identifying our behaviors.
Mm. Mm.
When we're younger, it's kind of just a quick reaction or instant gratification. Whatever we do it. Maybe we think about the consequences. It don't matter. We're young. We think tomorrow's promise. We're young. We're going to live for 30, 40 more years.
Right.
I feel like right as you hit that 20 transition to get out of them teens, because that teens is such a wake-up moment because your body goes through physical changes. Puberty, hairs growing here, your desires change. Now you want sex and other things. So that's a super, like, whatever moment. You kind of running around like a dog chasing his tail. But around 20, you start kind of analyzing your actions and thinking, and then some of those seeds that other people planted in our lives start popping up like, man, should I do this? It's not that I can, but should I? And then also around the 20s, I feel like we wake up to some of the mistakes that we really made in our teenage years, in our early 20s. And now it's like, whoa, it dumps on us like a load of bricks. Like, man, I should have been better. I should have did better. And then 30 starts haunting us in the back of our head. And we start feeling like by 30, when I thought about 30 at 13, I thought I would be a millionaire. And everything would be laid out and smooth with the dog, with the white picket fence, with the wife, and everything was sweet. Then I'm at 26, 24, then I get to 27, get divorced around 27, 28. Then it's like, hold on, my life ain't looking like what I thought it would be at 30, at 13. Now, it's almost like being the man in the middle in the 20s too. The 20s is a real, I'm finding out more about me time for a young man. So had I known that, I probably would have approached it differently than getting in my 20s and still being scared like I'm in my teens.
Brother, you mentioned divorce twice, and you know that takes us right to our next subject of black love. I wanted to ask you, what is black love? How would you define it? What would you say about it? What are your thoughts on what is black love?
Man, the most beautiful, most powerful, could easily be the most deadly weapon in the world. It can take you all over the spectrum. I feel like love is still the strongest force on this earth. However, hate, what came to my spirit, hate is a coping mechanism in the absence of love. So even in one feeling like they lacking love, man, it gets very dangerous. And love has been lied on. Love has been lied on that love is pain, love is rain. No, it's not. It's the absence thereof. Because also I feel like our conception of love has been tainted in so many ways, because so many people in our youth might have told us they loved us, and then what we felt like we got from them didn't feel right. So it started off with the word love, but then I ended up with pain. And the person only probably reciprocated the pain because they was in pain. That was another reason we didn't do well with relationships, because we didn't even understand ourselves. And some of the people teaching us about love had already been through bad relationships, divorces, all of the above. So, man, we have so much trauma wrapped up from grandparent to parent to us to now we parents. Now we grandparents.
Right.
It was so much unsaid.
Mr. Porter, Black love.
Man, Black love, man. It's something that's so strong. You know what I mean?
Wrap it too.
And I don't really believe that we really just understand the scope of it. You know what I mean? I think that it's one of the major things that's being hidden from us, and they're doing everything that they can do that's possible to make us hate one another. You know, it's crazy how we go to the joint and we're incarcerated, and it stops mattering whether you're a Crip or you're a GDR blood. It goes to mattering what town you're from. So now the same person that I had a problem with on the streets, now we eating soups together.
Right.
Because we got to protect one another. You know. So, you know, these are the stories that we have to come out and tell to our youth. Instead of allowing them to keep going out. Oh, geez, we got to get together. That same blood Crip, that same GD or Vice Lord or whatever your op was that you was in the joint chilling with and eating soups with. We got to come out here and maintain that same characteristic and show these youngsters that, hey, man, it's something bigger than what we do.
That's a word right there, brother.
And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that you can't represent where you from. I'm not saying that you got to put that flag down. But I'm saying that you misrepresent it when you're doing it in a hateful manner towards your brother or your sister, man. And you and not understanding the families that's being hurt and the people that's being hurt and the lives that's being changed behind this violence, man, behind this lack of Black love. We beat ourselves up too much, man. We abusing each other.
So how does Black love play a role in parenting issues? You know, everybody talk about baby mama issues, baby daddy issues, all of that. How do you maintain a good relationship and raise the kids, you know, in a good, healthy environment? Mr. Flake.
I feel like that was, again, that generational destruction. Once again, if I feel like this, so I have spanked my kids, for example, and I was raised that whoopings was necessary. But then, if I think one day I stopped and thought about, well, where did the hitting start? I pondered it, and I said, well, hold on. So, okay, I spanked my kids. My mother spanked me. But then my mother was spanked and her brothers and sisters by her parent. And then they parents, but somewhere, as I kept thinking down the line, somewhere it wasn't a belt, it was a whip. Somebody was being beat. So somebody that was being beat continued hitting.
Right.
Then they continued hitting. Then the hitting just kept going forward. And I've seen examples now in my life of people that raised their children without the rod or spanking them because they strategically found other ways of communicating and found other ways of punishment. Hitting somebody is a singular way of handling a problem when there's a million answers.
What about you, Mr. Porter? You know how we was all raised. We all got whoopings, you know. I talked about one time getting hit with that stitching cord and I put that whip on you like no other.
Here's my aspect on it. Because things can get taught in many ways. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe that a buck whooping is one of the tools that need to be used. You know, because the reality of it is our parents, we parents, man. We weak parents, man. You know, you have to have a respect first from your child, man. If you don't have no respect from your child, how you think he gonna go to school and respect this teacher?
Right.
Yeah, because
how you think he gonna go to school?
He living in
disrespect. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He don't even respect you.
Right.
He tell you no and hit you, and you know. So how do you think that? How do you think that he gonna go to school and listen to some other grown up? When the grown ups, he don't even got to listen to the grown ups at his own house. This is where the problem starts.
Well, let me ask you something, Mr. Porter. I talked about children at first. Maybe I should have started with marriage. So the question is marriage important? Is marriage important? Some people believe, hey, I ain't got to get married. I don't need no contract with the state to say, you know, we love each other, this, that, and the third. Some people want that contract with the state, if you will. I think a lot of the little girls, they dream of their wedding day. You know what I mean? It's like they big day. It's almost bigger than their birthday, damn near. But well, what are your thoughts? Is marriage important in 2023? Go.
I believe it's important.
Why?
I believe it's important because, like I said, I'm spiritual. You know what I'm saying? And this is something God, you know, commanded upon man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's where my belief comes in first. You know, but now I won't get into the legal way of they doing it, because they turn it into something that makes money.
Yeah, turn it into
you got to pay to get married, and then you got to pay to get divorced.
Right.
All that, you know, and God ain't saying nothing about that. So, you know, I'm not gonna get into that, but I do believe that marriage is important. You know what I mean?
What about you, Mr. Flake? You think, you know, what if a man be like, hey, I don't want to mess around with the paperwork. We gonna do a ceremony. That'd be cool. You think most women would be happy with a ceremony per se, without the legal documentation to say we're married?
Yeah, I think marriage is important, and I think the core values of marriage is what's important. Like the marriage was actually made to unify families. It made connections of, so if I'm a black and you brown, and the blacks is about to marry the browns, now the blacks and the browns, if there was 50 blacks and 50 browns, well, now we're 100 strong.
Right, right.
That unity is absolutely necessary to join the community. That's what forms the link. That's what gives us that's what takes like a single thread and put it together. Now it's a bulletproof vest.
You see what I'm saying?
It'll stop a vest. I mean, it'll stop a bullet, and individually the string would break. So yes, that connection is necessary. And then I think that as we learn how to handle it better, those unions should be a part of the family discussion as a whole when people get married. And it is so crucial, I feel like, for once two people to get married, then start having kids, and then have that child's biological mother and father in the environment while having the family also a part of their home, and they also holding that the same accountability. The same thing comes with when I mentioned the old man, the middle-aged man, and the young man. Same thing with a marriage, man. Bring grandpa and grandma in and still married, man. And then on the other side, we got great aunties and great uncles that's still married, and they can talk about the ups and downs, and they can even maybe pull the brother's coattail to the side when, hey, man, that's not what you should be doing to your wife, brother. And the reason I'm not judging you or saying you are less of a man, but I'm telling you I already did it, and it didn't work well. And
Right.
It took years for us to get past that hump. So yes, that unity is necessary. And then that, man, it's still taking a village. It's still going to take a village, no matter either which way we shake it. We need us.
But it's more to marriage than just love, man. You know, I tell people all the time, man, you know, in a marriage, man, love is just a small fraction,
right,
of everything else. And I think that we
give me another element of love that people don't think about.
We marry on love alone, and then it don't turn out to be right.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because what all the other elements that were supposed to be right in our marriage is
like
not
trust,
right.
Yeah, loyalty,
you know what I'm saying?
Trust, right?
Like trust, like loyalty, like finances.
Yeah.
I think that break up a lot of marriages when that money problems hit.
My spiritual belief is that the man is supposed to pay for everything, man.
Okay.
That's a heavy responsibility.
Even today in 2023, where the economy is crazy, you think that type, I know you said you're spiritual, and you know that's, some people will say old school, where the man go out and get the money and the woman stay at home. Right. And that sounds great on the onset, but is that feasible today in 2023? Can a man really, if he got two kids and a wife, can he go out and make enough money in this economy in America to support his family?
Yes, he can. People get rich all the time, man. It's dedication, determination, and discipline. When you don't have a good goal to
say that again,
then your money is only set right here.
Give me that again. Give me those 3 Ds.
Dedication, determination, and discipline. Whenever you have set the bar low, then there's no way for you to go to this higher status. You got these people believing in your mind that you can't afford to live this type of lifestyle. And you can, because it's your God-given right. This is what God say. He say, go in there and be fruitful. You know, so your opportunity is there. You the one that's in your way. You the one that's lacking your finances, stopping you from becoming the rich man that you want to be.
Y'all hear that, brothers? We got brothers saying that, hey, it can still be done. We got to stop depending on the other man and look at the brother man, and sometimes at ourselves, at the man in the mirror. Listen here, y'all, we ain't got a whole lot of time, so we're going to be wrapping up here in a few minutes, but I just want to leave y'all real quick with some Walt's words of wisdom. This week, the words of wisdom is about standing on it. What you going to do? When you hear that phrase, what does that mean to you? Man, I stand on this, I stand on that. People say that a whole bunch, but sometimes they be fugazi, as we say in the hood. They be unauthentic. They don't want to stand on what they say. They don't want to stand on what they do. When we talking about stand on it, we talking about taking responsibilities for our actions. Ooh, yeah, sometimes people don't want to take no responsibilities for the things that they do and the things that they say. But I can guarantee you this. Listen to your Uncle Walt. Whatever you do is going to have a response behind it. Whether what you do be positive or whether what you do be negative, you are definitely going to get a response. So whatever you do and whatever you say come out your mouth, be ready to stand on it. Be ready to stand on it. Brothers, what y'all got to say about standing on it? Mr. Porter, tell me something about standing on it as we wrap this thing up. What you want to leave the people with standing on it? Tell us how they can find you. Give us your social medias and everything. Let us know about you, where they can contact you, you know what I'm saying? Because you've been dropping some jewels on us today. So, you know, speak on that. Speak on how to stand on it.
Y'all really just hit me up on my Facebook page right now. You know, this is just an up-and-coming thing that we're doing. Hopefully we're growing it more, get more outlets, and I'll be able to give y'all more ways to reach me. You know, but first thing I want to say is, man, recognize what you're standing on first. Stand on truth. Stand on truth first. You know what I mean? Because when you got truth, then it's easy to stand on. The truth is easy to stand on. I promise it is, man. It's way easier than the lie, man, than falsehood, man. You know, and stop giving out falsehood, man, to these OGs, man, to these youngsters, man. If you ain't really got the facts on things, man, stop giving it out, man.
We thank you, Mr. Porter. Mr. Flake, close us out. Close us out. What are your thoughts on standing on it? And then tell us how the people can reach you, where they can find you. Tell us what you're doing. Bring us home, brother.
Hey, man, as far as standing on it, as individuals, man, figure out who we really are. Figure out what we truly believe in, what we stand for. Once we identify, then we can move forward. If we don't even know what we standing on or why, we're going to be in trouble every time. So, man, just as we learn ourselves better, as we love ourselves better, as we forgive ourselves better, finding that truth to stand on will be, man, as clear as clean water. So, and you can hit, I'm only on Facebook at YFlake, just that simple. And then Instagram at 479Mac.
Thank you, brother. Hey, we're going to give you a applause for stopping in today. Black Men Talk. This is your favorite uncle, comedian, Uncle Walt. Man, the God brothers have a good time. For sure. I think we made some progress in